What were you doing when you were 17 years old? Think about that for a second. Activate the flux capacitor, go back to the 90s or 80s or whatever the hell you were 17, and think, what was I doing? Because I'll tell you what you weren't doing. You weren't schooling the best players in the NBA and having the world wonder who the hell you are.
Cooper Flagg is this gangly 17-year-old, 6'8", 200 pounds, kid from Maine. He's a Duke incoming freshman. He's part of the USA Select Team, the U.S. Select Team that scrimmaged against the USA Olympic team the past 3 days. And apparently he had a day. And he had several great days, but he had a day. So it does pose that question. When you're making three-pointers over Anthony Davis, when you have a putback and you're schooling Bam Adebayo, an all-defensive player, when you're hitting jumpers over Drew Holiday, you're doing big things. You're opening a lot of eyes. And that's what he's doing against the best of the best. Again, as a kid who doesn't even turn 18 until December. So, had a day, and what were you doing at 17? I'll tell you straight up what I was doing at 17. 17, I was working at a clothes store that doesn't even exist anymore. Making, what was it, $4.25 an hour? What was minimum wage back then? In the
90s, I remember I worked at Wendy's, and I remember it was $5 an hour, and I was like, wow, Wendy's overpays. I loved it. I was like,
yeah, I was living at home with my parents. I would sneak girls in and tell them I lived with some old people. I rented out the basement. I lived in the basement of my parents' house. I was driving a Nissan Sentra, a 93.
No, I didn't ask what you were doing at 30. I said, what were you doing at 17?
No, this is no. When I was 30, I upgraded to a Corolla. Yeah.
Okay.
No. This is 17. I had a 93 Sentra. I was working at a store, a clothes store called The Garage, and they were known for selling brands like Chess King and, not Chess King. Chess King was an off-brand. They sold like bum equipment and Levi's and things like that.
Yeah.
Big Johnson T-shirts, get you ready for the summertime. So the Garage on Route 22 in Union, New Jersey, that's where I was working. And I had no clue about where I was going to college, what I was going to do. I was buying CDs with all the money I had. I was buying lots of music. But at 17, zero direction, really. I was playing sports, obviously, playing baseball, but nothing to this level. This kid might be the coolest 17-year-old that ever was.
Let me ask you, do you
think
the
moment,
Cooper Flagg and any 17-year-old knows what a Big Johnson T-shirt is?
No, not at all. Not at all.
By the way, what happened to Big Johnson T-shirts? That's an investigation on its own. But, you think about what you were doing at 17, and there's so many layers to this Cooper Flagg story, like embracing the moment, living it up, capitalizing on your opportunity, because this went from a situation where day one of scrimmages, he showed that, wow, I can hang. I could compete. Day two, based on what he did against the best of the best, people already thinking, ooh, 2025 draft. It's like, are you serious? But then again, if you see this guy competing like that, Duke must be licking their chops knowing that they got a must-watch guy now, because a guy whose name you didn't know yesterday or the day before, now you know. And when college hoop starts, what's the number one guy people are going to be scoping out from game one of the season, Covino?
Cooper Flagg.
He did his job.
We open it up to you, Fox Sports Radio Nation, The Herd, 818-817-7509. Your greatest day. Today was a good day for this guy, which was actually, yesterday. So he had a day, and what were you doing at 17? Now, it makes me think of not only what was I doing at 17, again, just trying to get my name in the paper playing sports. That was really the focus, right? What was your coolest moment? Wearing your jersey to high school? Wearing your jersey to high school was a cool feeling.
Hoping you got a blurb in the local paper like, Rich went 3 for 4 with 2 doubles. Like, you were hoping you got the little write-up in the local paper.
Yeah, maybe, hang it on the parents' refrigerator. Like, what was the big thrill? This guy's playing with the best of the best. Granted, you got to figure he's going all out. He's just straight balling. Again, trying to open up some eyes, trying to get some respect. These dudes are just practicing for the most part. But then when he starts being dominant any competitor is going to step up. I'm sure Anthony Davis wasn't happy about it. Steve Kerr couldn't really speak about it, although he did say that the select team was bringing it, with all these young players and G League players. So when I think of my best days, because this has to go down in this kid's young life as his best day yet, I would imagine.
By the way, how bunk is that, by the way? Danny G, I'm guessing, I think that's draft rules, and a current NBA coach can't talk about a current possible college player.
Yeah,
No, that's
tampering.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that Kerr can't even say, the kid lit it up, like he can't even say anything is sort of lame, right?
He just made a generic statement about how they all played competitive and they were all great competitors. But everybody was talking about this kid, Cooper Flagg. So basically, it might be a kid you never heard of, but today, everybody's talking about him because of this performance. Like, how cool is that to wake up to? You're just some, again, tall kid out of Maine. And by the way, he was always a great player. Music was telling us before, like, he was all everything, and he was so good, he was so bored, he had to go to some private school to find competition at his level in Maine. And it's no surprise that he's good. Nobody knew he can compete on this level.
Well, yeah, one day the average person doesn't know your name. The next day, every sports fan's like, oh, you hear about Cooper Flagg? It's like Huck to a girl. One day, she's just a girl on the street in Nashville. The next day, she's making tens of thousands of dollars at club appearances, and people have merchandise and every meme. Now your parents are seeing the Huck to a meme.
Yeah, but he's always been good is my point. It's not like he just out of nowhere is good. It's just out of nowhere we know him. What were his stats, Music?
So in high school, he was the Gatorade Player of the Year as a freshman in Maine. And then at the end of his freshman year, he was like, I need some better competition. So he had to transfer to an academy school down in Florida and has basically been the consensus number one overall recruit for the 2025 class. And now, as we see, people are probably quickly across the NBA getting ready to tank for Cooper Flagg.
Yeah, so he was no schlub, but it's got people saying, all right. Now,
I've had people are going to lag for Flagg.
Yeah, exactly. So again, most of us didn't know this guy. Now everybody's talking about him today. So it's a two-part doozy. Your best day and what were you doing at 17? Because he's got most of our acts beat by far. By far. My best day, I would say, because this was 3 days of scrimmaging? So he had a series, right? Yeah. So I'd say my best 2-day span ever was in 2009. And I hope I have more great days to come. But in 2009, get this. Yankees are in the World Series. I'm super pumped about it. Hell yeah. And then I'm having a baby. Not me, my ex. My ex is, I know I might look like it. I've already had a few tacos.
He's going to be a soccer player.
He's going to be a soccer player. He is. But I'm having a baby. The Yankees lose on November 1st. I'm like, No, when did they win?
Do you forget your daughter's birthday and the Yankees World Series?
The Yankees win the World Series on the 3rd. My daughter was born on the 2nd. So I was in the hospital for the 2nd and the 3rd. Those are my best 2 days. So great and so grand that I forgot the dates.
I was going to say, you're that bad at calendars, huh?
I knew my daughter's birthday, obviously. I was trying to remember when the Yankees won. The Yankees didn't win that day. The Yankees won the day after. Not the day before, the day after. So I was like, but 2 great days back to back and belly to belly. And I remember, wow, I'm not sure if it gets better than this. I just became a dad. I was super pumped about it. And the Yankees won the World Series. And I was celebrating the World Series win in the hospital. And I still got those pictures of like, here's me, brand new dad with the baby. Good moment, good day, good time. How about you when it comes to best day ever or best series, best few days?
I have nothing compared to Cooper Flagg or you, who doesn't even remember the days. I would say, individual days, like, would you say, everyone's going to say, when I became a dad or a mom. I'd say, those phone calls
Mine had a little caveat.
The big job.
The Yankees won the World Series and I became a dad. Look, most of us have the ability to become dads. It's the fact that it happened that same time.
Yeah, the 49ers almost help me there because my son's birthday was on Super Bowl Sunday this year, and the 49ers lost, and I'm a big Niners fan. I told my wife, I'm like, how cool would it be if the 49ers won the Super Bowl for the first time since 94, 95, when I was a little teenager on our son's birthday. And damn, Patrick Mahomes ruined my day. So I don't have anything, Covino, all right? My teams lose, and being a dad is a generic answer. So I'll be honest, those days where you get the phone call, no matter what you do for a living, when you get that call from the boss, like, hey, we want to talk, and you get like a big raise or, hey, listen, I'll be honest, top 10 moment has to be when we got the call from the Fox Sports Radio bosses saying, hey, we're making room for you guys on the full-time lineup.
That was pretty dope. Yeah, we had a cool meeting. I'll never forget that. Yeah, those are great moments. Fist pumps in the air for anybody. Great news. And it's funny, it puts things in perspective because our happiness relies on these teams and some other cool life moments. But these are the guys that are actually doing it, guys like Cooper Flagg. They're actually playing in these games that we're all excited about.
I mean, people are going to think back to, remember opening that envelope when they probably don't mail it anymore. Remember opening the envelope, is it thick or thin based on, did you get admitted to that college?
Yes, but growing up on the East Coast, I really didn't apply to many schools. You know, like I said, take me back to 17. I had zero guidance, man. Zero guidance. I didn't know what school I was going to. I had no idea what I was going to do.
You didn't apply to a bunch of colleges and get all the response letters in the mail and opening
I did, but only the local ones. I'm from, again, the East Coast, New Jersey, and I ended up going to Montclair State University because they had a decent baseball team at the time. They were national champions. I was like, all right, I'll do that. All I knew at 17 was baseball and playing music. And I don't really know much more now, to be honest, but that was it. So what were you doing at 17 and your greatest day? I'd love to hear Danny G's greatest day, music. Have you ever had a moment that compares? Probably not, because we're all here in the radio studio, right? We weren't that great at sports. We just love sports. But this dude was competing with the best of them. Danny G, you got something? Super producer.
Yeah, for me, I would say the greatest day ever was August 5th, 2023. Koa was born. Future Raider, hashtag Future Raider. He's as big as a linebacker already, about to turn one. And as far as being 17, I know what you're going to think. How could my career get any better after this? But I peaked young. I was already working in radio at 17 for 98.3 KMIX, K-Mix Radio, Modesto, Stockton. And I was like the little Doogie Howser on the staff. And then now, fast forward to Covino and Rich, yes, I peaked then, and my career has gone downhill ever since.
Wait, you're Danny G from K-Mix?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
He's that Danny G. You know, I think we all have to hold on to the thought, even if it's just false. We have to hold on to the thought that we haven't peaked yet. Like, no, the best is yet to come. If your day pales in comparison to Cooper Flagg's, and for most people, it has, you have to believe somehow to keep you going that, no, it's just because it hasn't happened yet.
No, of course.
I'm still motivated by that. I really
think
am.
About that with not only sports, Covino, I think about that with music. Not music, the producer. Like actual music. I think about that with, like, you see some teeny bopper on stage and you're thinking, they're like Olivia Rodrigo. Like if you got daughters or kids, like you see some young woman on a stage at like Madison Square Garden or something, and you're thinking to yourself, this kid is on stage in front of 20,000 people. When I was 16, 17, I was picking my nose working at Wendy's. Like, it's amazing how a guy like Cooper Flagg could come out of not nowhere, because as Ryan pointed out, he was a, elite young player in Maine, moved down to Florida. But the simple fact that you always think about this. Remember the show Pros versus Joes?
Of course.
Everyone always wonders, what if a regular dude did compete against a pro?
I was a bigger fan of American Gladiators. I was like, I think I could take Nitro. I think I could do this. Yeah.
But when you think about like Pros versus Joes, I know Cooper isn't necessarily a Joe, But he is just a regular 17-year-old kid that's
He's
a
a
good
kid.
basketball player.
Yeah, he's still a kid, so it's a fun story.
He's dominated every step of the way. You don't think he's ever daydreamed like, hey, what if I did play against LeBron or AD or Drew Holiday or any of these guys? He's daydreamed about it. The opportunity came up, and he held his own and actually played really well. What a great moment for this kid.
And that's the goal, to hold your own. And he went above and beyond. And I said it, and I'll say it again, and it's not to take away, and I can't take away from his moment and the cool story, and that's not my point. But you have to imagine he's going all out, dude. And they're very casual about it. They're just, yeah, we're scrimmaging. We're not trying to get hurt. We're just going through the motions. And he's pushing them to their limits, going all out. There's a difference there. There's a difference between, that guy that's going all out and the guy that's shooting. We could all sort of relive that to some degree. As you get older, if you ever hit a basketball court, you're just shooting around. You just want to shoot around. That's all I want to do. Shoot around and maybe play the old guy role. And I'm not old, but I'm not trying to get hurt. I'm not trying to roll an ankle. So I'll play, but I just want to shoot, really. I'm not trying to get in the mix. The K-mix with Danny G. So my point is, some younger dudes will roll up to the court, and they're acting like they're in it to win it, and they're playing real aggressive. And then they start pushing you to play harder. But you're like, hold on, slow down. I was just shooting around, and these guys are going all out. That's kind of what's going on here on the highest of levels.
I get your analogy, but you with some, alpaca-headed 20-year-olds at 24-Hour Fitness, I don't think it's the same thing as LeBron
on
and
a
AD.
lower level. These broccoli heads, if I'm there shooting, these broccoli heads roll up, and they start wanting to play because they're 20-something and aggressive, right? I'm 40-something. I'm just hanging. These guys are in that mindset and in that mode. They're not trying to really compete right now. They're just scrimmaging. And you got this young broccoli-headed dude. You got this 17-year-old kid playing like his career depends on it. There is a difference. I just want to point that out.
I got to ask, since we are filling in for the herd, who wins in a three-point shootout, you or Jason McIntyre? You've seen his Instagram. That dude's always hooping.
The competitive side of me says I'll win in anything. That's just me being delusional.
Wait, is there a hand in the face or not? Because Covino's great when there's no defense.
Is he defending me? Because then he'll probably win. If there's no defense, I'll take him.
If people don't know, Covino, uncontested, 75% from three-point range. Contested, 7%.
Yeah, but when I have an alpaca boy, some young kid with his broccoli haircut in front of my face, then it's a little different. So I'm just pointing out, again, the obvious, but I want to make it clear. I doubt that these Olympic caliber players, these superstars that we know like Anthony Davis, were playing all out the way this kid was. Maybe at some point they did, but I'm sure they weren't expecting all that from him. But props to him.